So this opening moment, this opening scene, is reminiscent of the Diana Chronicles, the the 3-season series that was out in the 70s with Linda Carter. So just so you know, that is reminiscent of that. They're actually throwing back to her jumping in and out of an apartment via her incognito. Okay, so what's that photo? So I don't know what that photo is, but it's showing her like on road trip or something, and she's standing under a sign, and there's a clock. So in case you're curious about the music at all, in case you are, this was a huge song when I was a kid. This song was ridiculously huge. By the band New Order from 1980, I want to say 88 or 87.
Have you ever been in love?
It's been recorded, re-recorded, and repurposed and bastardized a million times. Okay, so what's her name from SNL? She's cool. I really actually enjoy her presence. She's actually kind of fun. She's really fun. Yeah, a long time ago, of course, Steve Trevor. So I know that a lot of people have problems with Steve Trevor being alive, blah, blah. Just to kind of put things into perspective, if you watch the original TV series, I mean, they literally have Steve Trevor like, oh, I'm Steve Trevor's son, and it's the same guy. It's the same actor playing Steve Trevor's son. So, I mean, to me personally, it's DC Comics, so it's like, if you want to complain about him being alive, then I don't know, like there's a lot of things that can happen in DC Comics. So, you know, that's just so far, I've watched this a couple of times, and it's not as bad as probably a lot of people are saying it is, in my personal opinion, because I think that the world of Wonder Woman is pretty fantastical. It's pretty fantastic in that regard. Like, it's pretty out there. It's pretty, that's just my opinion.
So many times. Yeah.
So she says she's all the time. She's in love all the time, which means she's probably in love with Wonder Woman, which is awesome. That's awesome. Beautiful, beautiful, and wonderful. By the way, I hate the DC logo that's current. I think the DC logo from back in the Dark Knight trilogy times was better. That's just my opinion. Okay, moving on. So this is actually cool. It's reminiscent of our few moments with American Horror Story 1984, which is kind of fun. Kind of fun and silly and stupid, because it's like all these. Don't get me wrong. Like, I lived the 80s. I'm a product of the 80s. It's just that a lot of these millennials, like, they have this concept, they have this idea, they have this very specific, thing where they're like, I know how I should be, blah, blah. It's like, and they get a lot of things right, but there's a lot of things that aren't. So anyway, but it's pretty cool. It's cut with this, this New Order cut, which is really fun. So the beauty of this trailer is simply this. It's simply this. This is the beauty of the trailer. It's extremely musical. The music doesn't effing stop. The music does not stop at all whatsoever. At all. It doesn't stop. It's literally beat for beat. Sorry, I'm a musician, so like, that's still going on while I'm thinking of story. That's still going gang 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 gang. So anyway, here we go. But the first time I saw this trailer, I was like, this is really cheesy. It's a really cheesy trailer. But it's like, it's because they didn't do the 80s well. That's my personal opinion. They didn't do the 80s well. It's a very cheap interpretation of the 80s. Warner Brothers is kind of crapping their pants right now because they're literally up against Disney, and so they literally have to be thinking about, seriously, okay, what are we doing? What are we against? And they're literally cutting corners with this movie, and that's why there's all these leaks and weirdness going on, and people interpreting things weird. And there was one leak that was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst movie, and blah, blah. It's Patty Jenkins. She knows what she's doing. She understands a good story, but she probably has a bunch of SJW bastards breathing down her neck, it's pretty pathetic and sad. But I mean, it's great. It's like, there's a bunch of guys oohing and awing over Wonder Woman. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. So the mall was super cheesy. It was over the top. Like, that's the whole thing. Is like they kind of have this envisioned like fantastical version of the 80s, and that's what millennials think. They think they have this like perfect version of the 80s and what it's supposed to be, what it originally was, and etc. The funny part about this is that it actually wasn't that way at all. It was actually very gritty and dirty and grimy and gross. Like, that's just the way the 80s were. They were portrayed in the films way differently than actual 80s are, so whatever, it is what it is. But so her boots look kind of funky, and okay, that's cool. It's cool, it's comfortable. They're comfortable. She can land without destroying her ankles. That's beautiful. I love Gal Gadot. I love her, and she's awesome. She's wonderful, and she's fantastic in this. So I mean, I've watched this trailer a few times, so it's I don't know what to think about it. I know that there's definitely some budget aspects to it. Like, they're definitely cutting corners, but I think in general, it's pretty darn good. I mean, I think it'll be fun. So here we are with our Ricardo Montalban. So this is, so you guys do realize that this is the Mandalorian. This is Pedro Pascal. This is our Mandalorian guy, and the Mandalorian that's on Disney Plus. And he's our Ricardo Montalban. He's our fantasy island. He's our character who's going to be he's the evil capitalist. And that's the joke that all the millennials, all the idiots, all the crazy people, all the whatevers, like, that's your constant ridiculousness that you keep spewing out and thinking that somehow communism is better, and for some reason you love the 80s, but it's like the 80s were horrible. The beginning of the 80s were horrible because of Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter believed in socialist, communist ideology. Like, and they broke out of that. They pulled out of that because of capitalism. Capitalism, the Reagan era, blah, blah. Anyway, it's the point is you don't get what you're loving. Get what you're loving, then love it. Get what you're loving, then love it. That's all I'm saying. All right. So Pedro Pascal, yeah, he's the Ricardo Montalban / Trump character. And there's going to be definitely an anti-capitalist moment, thing here. It's obviously. Think about having, yeah, it's pretty, it's silly. It's silly and simple. But yeah, I mean, this moment's cheesy. I take what I want in return. Everyone will see. I mean, the shots are great, but it's like the way it's shot. It's very musical. It's very cheesy. It's extremely cheesy. Very cheesy trailer. So just so you guys know, like. All of those that's all part of the original song. So what is this? Polocalypse? I mean, was this Polympics? Right here. I mean, it's cool. It's definitely, if it's not too heavy-handed on the political spectrum, it could be fun. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, it's Patty Jenkins. It's just as long as she doesn't... She's riding the lightning. She's riding the lightning! Riding the lightning! Okay, so the armor. We've seen the armor before. We've seen that armor before, and I can't remember what DC comic I read millions of years ago. Many, many years ago from that, but that's pretty badass. It looks pretty badass. She looks amazing in it. And she's riding the lightning. She's riding the lightning! Like Metallica, throwing off her wings like a Like a boss. So anyway. And calmly moment at the end.
It's all art.
I mean,
It's just a trash can.
I
just a
I
trash
can
can.
definitely
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it not being the original. I can see that. I can totally see that now. It's obvious. But I mean, I have hopes for it. I mean, of course, you're going to have Midnight's Edge ripping it apart. Everybody's going to be ripping it apart. A lot of people are going to be tearing it apart. I mean, it's just that it's not a very well cut trailer. I think the movie will be okay. I think it looks all right. I'm going to go see it. I love Wonder Woman. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. And it's DC Comics. If you get too hung up on, like, I don't know, that's just my opinion. If you get too hung up on things that aren't tangible, if you get too hung up on things that aren't specifically CSI verifiable, and with DC Comics, well, okay, no, I'm gonna cut that. So anyway, appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.